Some people make things look so easy. You watch the professional athlete in the game or in the competition, and that person makes the moves look so easy. You watch the person sitting at the computer making all kinds of things happen, and happen so quickly and without any mistakes, no errors. You see the person in the kitchen who makes such wonderful meals, and again, that person makes it look so easy, and yet we know it's not. Today we listen to the gospel story, and it makes decision and commitment look so easy. Jesus hears of the arrest of John the Baptist, and he leaves Nazareth, and he moves to Capernaum. He cuts the ties and begins life in a new place, in a different place, in preparation for his own ministry. And the gospel states it so simply and so matter-of-factly. Jesus left Nazareth and made his home in Capernaum. The break is so clean. There's a clean cut between the old and now what is new and what is going to happen. Then we hear the story of those first disciples. Jesus calls Simon and his brother Andrew. And the gospel says, immediately they left their nets and followed him. He goes further along the coast and he calls James and John. And the gospel says, immediately they left their boat and their father and followed him. These fishermen are so decisive. We hear of absolutely no hesitation, no holding back, no half measures, no time of doubting or even questioning. And there's not a hint of selfishness, wondering what the rewards would be for them. And so the gospel narrative is certainly setting an example and providing a challenge for all who would follow as disciples later. We face decisive moments in our lives and in our faith lives. Many of you make the commitment of marriage, and at that time you make decisions and resolutions. You make decisions at the time of a child's birth, the kind of parent you want to be, and the kind of future you want to offer. You make a decision to live as a Catholic Christian, to follow Christ, and to be a follower in all that means. You make the decision to end a bad situation and to make a new beginning, to put the past behind, and to start again. Some of us make the decision to live as a priest or deacon or religious in the church, trying to serve others. And so we are not unlike Jesus and the disciples in the gospel today. And when we make those decisions and those commitments, there certainly is no holding back, no half measures, no doubting, no hints of selfishness. You're going to do this, and you are going to do it absolutely the best you can. And we all know what happens as we move ahead, living out our decisions and our commitments. We know how quickly the temptations to compromise come along. And then the selfishness creeps in. We put ourselves and our own comfort or pleasure or satisfaction ahead of our commitment. We can become lukewarm. Yes, we do what needs to be done, but we've lost the enthusiasm, and we've lost the sense of generosity and the Spirit. And all of that will be the story of the disciples too. And Jesus will be there to understand and to forgive. He will be the one to rekindle the spirit of those disciples. And we know that he will be there for us in the same way when we turn to acknowledge our failure or our fear or our selfishness or our weakness or half measures. But we need the message of the gospel today. We need to hear that decisiveness on the part of Jesus and on the part of those first disciples. Just as Jesus challenged those fishermen to be decisive in a commitment of faith and service, so we are challenged in our commitments and in our faith and in our form of service. Each one of us knows the commitments that we have made. We all know the resolutions that we've made. We know the promises and the new beginnings that we have made. These may have been made many years ago, or they may have been made very recently. And we know that the gospel picture today makes it look so easy, and we know it is not. It was not easy for those first disciples, and it's not easy for us. Other than Judas, the disciples did not give up. They sought forgiveness for their weakness, and they continued to turn to the Lord day after day for new strength. And each of them ended his or her life in heroic martyrdom. And so today we come here for strength, for the Eucharist, for the help that Jesus offers us so that we can persevere in our journey of faith and in the commitments that we have made. That's the way it was for the disciples, and that's the way it is for us today.